Welcome back to the NFT Nation podcast, the most relatable and reliable NFT and crypto podcast in the nation. In today's episode, I will be covering my personal predictions for the crypto market during the month of May and beyond. But first, I just want to explain I am not a financial advisor, nor do I see the future, so please do not take my advice as fact and make sure to do your own personal research before investing into any coin, crypto, or any asset class for that manner. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. So obviously, with any crypto prediction podcast episode, you have to start with Bitcoin. So May is typically a good month for Bitcoin, and the largest cryptocurrency by market value normally sees rise in price during the month of May. But obviously, some analysts aren't certain that this year the price that normality will fall in line with the past. In terms of seasonality, May is considered a relative success for Bitcoin. Over the past 11 years, Bitcoin has ended the month up 7 times and down 4 times. So obviously, in the past, Bitcoin normally rises in the month of May. But this year, some analysts aren't so certain since May will do good this year because Bitcoin's much bigger than it was in past years. Since the cryptocurrencies, it tends to follow the stock market, and the stock market has seen a major dip this month. It would only make sense for Bitcoin to follow. Also, not only is the stock market falling, there's also an increase in interest rates, and the overall macro environment in general, aversion to risky investments right now is pretty prevalent, which is having people pull their money out of certain asset classes. Ming Wu, who is the CEO of a decentralized interest rates exchange called Strips Finance, told Fortune that Bitcoin's 27% average rise in May is probably a little distorted for today's kind of prices. By its 150% gain in 2011, when the cryptocurrency was trading at just $3. So obviously, if you look at the average price, like average percentage it raises every year in May, it's a little distorted since there was such a big rise in 2011. Those kinds of major price moves were easier back then, according to Ming, because of how low the price was to begin with. He thinks taking the median of Bitcoin's historical performance in May, or the midpoint of the data set, rather than its average, might be more telling and will probably give a much more understandable prediction of what could happen. The median move of 3.4% probably paints a much more accurate picture of what to expect from Bitcoin in May as financial conditions continue to tighten. Lucas Utomuro, the head of a research at Into the Block, which is a crypto market analysis firm, agrees that the Fed's interest rates decisions are playing a prominent role, and he isn't convinced that any price boost to Bitcoin will happen soon. So obviously, since the Federal Reserve has decided to increase interest rates, which is making borrowing money much more expensive, he believes that Bitcoin will not see a major move in price in the upwards motion because of those interest rate hikes. Then we have Michael Safi, who's a managing partner at Dextery Capital, which is a crypto propriety trading firm. And he says that the economic data across the board is way too gloomy for cryptocurrency traders to consider any upside right now. And he emphasized Bitcoin's relationship to the traditional stock market, which I've mentioned earlier. He also said that the upside momentum for Bitcoin will need to come from more stock market performance. Obviously, stock market goes up, Bitcoin will most likely follow in its path. And yet, even though stocks can't seem to find their own footing, he said bullishness and belief in fundamentals of crypto won't send prices skyrocketing in May or June. So there can't be, crypto is going to be the same thing whether there's sentiment around, or whether there's bullish or bearish sentiment around it. So just because the fundamentals of Bitcoin are still in play does not necessarily mean that we are still going to see a big rise in prices. We need to see more kind of hype around crypto as a whole. My personal kind of beliefs on this is that I think the bearishness market will continue throughout the month of May for Bitcoin, and probably even into the month of June, to be honest. Since the stock market has continued to fall, I would not be surprised if Bitcoin falls with it, since Bitcoin is a massive asset class just like the stock market. I will say I think Bitcoin will stay around the $36,000 range during the month of May. Obviously, I can't predict the future or anything, but that's just my personal prediction. And obviously, since if you were looking to maybe buy the dip this month, it might even be a good time to buy some Bitcoin since the prices are very, very low. So, if the market is not bullish on Bitcoin, then how is Ethereum going to perform during May? So, let's get right into Ethereum. So Ethereum's price has gone nowhere in the past few days as investors eye the upcoming interest rates decisions by the Federal Reserve. And I feel like I'm just beating a dead horse at this point, but obviously the Federal Reserve interest rate hikes are very important to the macro kind of economy. The Ethereum token is trading around $2,800 right now, which is slightly below this week's high of $2,900. Its market cap has dropped to about 340 billion, meaning that investors have lost over $160 billion of value in the recent months. So pretty much what happened to Ethereum during April? Why do we see this massive drop in price? Ethereum had a relatively uneventful performance in April. The biggest announcement was that the developers were postponing the Ethereum merge date from June this year to the third quarter. Analysis expect that the current network and the beacon chain will now merge in August or September. And if anyone is wondering what the Ethereum merge is, feel free to go into our Spotify kind of episode playlists and scroll down to problems for Ethereum 2.0. It's an episode I did explaining what is going on with the entire Ethereum problems and why ETH 2.0 has been postponed. The merge delay was a disappointment to many people. However, many investors believe that it's a necessary action because of the significance of the upgrade. Historically, a single error in a blockchain network like Ethereum has led to major hacks. Meanwhile, like other chains, Ethereum saw an outflow of total volume locked in its network. In the past 30 days, the TVL, or total value lock, has dropped by more than 11% to about $110 billion. It's nonetheless managed to grow its dominance in the industry to 55%, as other chains saw a deeper decline. For example, Solana and Phantom declined by over 25%. Ethereum's price action has also mirrored that of other assets. In April, the Nasdaq 100 declined by more than 18%. In the same period, U.S. bond yields continued rising as the sell-off continued. Bond yields have an inverse relationship with prices. Indeed, in April, the yield curve managed to invert to the lowest level since 2007. So obviously, as U.S. bond yields continued to rise, the sell-off began to happen. This price action was mostly because of the words from the Federal Reserve officials. Again, you have to mention it in speeches and statements. Officials like Jerome Powell and Mary Daly hinted that the bank will continue hiking rates. Expectations are that the bank will increase rates by 0.5% and start quantitative tightening. So they're going to restrict the amount of kind of money that's leaving the hands of the government for loans, and they're going to start kind of drawing back on what can be borrowed. So my prediction for Ethereum, or my personal thoughts on this, is that we won't really see a huge jump in price this month. Maybe the Bored Ape Yacht Club will help out some, since the Ape coin is built on top of Ethereum. That might help the Ethereum price go up a little bit. But I believe that the Ethereum price will decline modestly in the first part of May and then start bouncing back, since the hawkish Fed situation has already been priced in. Therefore, a bounce of $3,000 can't really be ruled out. It's still possible to see a increase in price for Ethereum this month, just because all the bullishness around the other deed and the other side metaverse, all about the Bored Ape Yacht Club and stuff. We're seeing some good stuff around Ethereum, a lot of publicity, stuff like that. So I wouldn't expect to see a massive crash anytime soon. But also, I would not expect to see a massive gains in the next few weeks. So obviously, we covered the two big ones, Bitcoin and Ethereum. So what about like Solana and many other altcoins? So, in the first week of January 2022, Solana was trading at over $180, and now that it's the first week of May, Solana is trading below $100, and honestly, it's close to 70. The fall in Solana has been due to multiple factors involving the geopolitical events, as well as the Solana network being prone to hacking multiple times in the last year. In 2022 itself, Sol has faced over 5 different kind of network failures, which has made the community very bearish on the network. We are seeing similar price movement with almost all altcoins. It's just not just Solana falling; the majority of altcoins are falling with it. These coins are hitting yearly lows one after another. We are seeing XRP take a big hit. We're seeing Cardano take a massive hit. We're seeing Solana down almost 50%. We are seeing Dogecoin, a lot of the meme coins as well, falling to pretty much nothingness. Sheeb has, become even more worthless. MoonPay is pretty much a scam. Or, sorry, not MoonPay. SafeMoon has seen massive declines and pretty much been exposed as a scam. So obviously that has fallen as well. But I don't really expect to see any massive gains unless there is a shift in the movement of Bitcoin and Ethereum in a positive direction. Obviously, with Elon Musk buying Twitter, we saw a decent rise in, like a short-term rise in price for Dogecoin, but it really didn't change the entire sentiment of the market like a bullish case for Ethereum or Bitcoin could be. So obviously, we just talked about many different altcoins, and I mentioned the ApeCoin earlier in the Bored Ape Yacht Club. So what do I think about ApeCoin? Like, is there still some positive room to run for ApeCoin? And really, there is a possibility of seeing higher prices for ApeCoin, just because there's a lot of hype around ApeCoin right now, especially with the other side metaverse, which I created an episode explaining the entire other side metaverse and how it has to do with the Bored Ape Yacht Club, as well as many different NFT collections. So please go check that out. I spent a lot of time on it, and I believe it's one of the best episodes I've made. But the other side metaverse, as well as the codas, has seen a lot of movement and hype around ApeCoin, because you had to have ApeCoin to purchase or make these purchases. So also the codas, as well as the normal Bored Ape Yacht Club, has people very excited for the future of ApeCoin. And a lot of people are speculating if ApeCoin will make its own blockchain, just because when the other deeds, which are part of the other side metaverse, were minted, it caused a massive, pretty much stall on the Ethereum blockchain. And then Yuga Labs after that hinted that maybe they need to make their own kind of blockchain, so this never happens again. And it has a lot of people speculating, because if ApeCoin does become its own blockchain, then obviously it will see a lot of positive reinforcement, which would lead to higher prices. If this happens, there will be a massive increase in price, just like I said. Yuga Labs hinted at creating their own chain after the other side land drop. We see in the latest episode, to learn more about how the land mint and the other side pretty much shut down the Ethereum system and caused a massive blockage. I know I kind of just repeated myself there, but it's really important that's kind of like the bulk of the kind of predictions and future for ApeCoin. If we do not see any of this stuff with the other side metaverse come to fruition, the ApeCoin will not see any higher prices, just because the bear or the bullishness will leave that community, and then the token will fall in price to kind of follow the bearishness. Also, I wouldn't really expect for ApeCoin to see any massive movements without Yuga Labs announcing major news. Like maybe there's another land drop or something new is added to the other side metaverse. I could see ApeCoin going in a positive direction. So just be on the lookout. There's some possibilities to make some money with ApeCoin if you follow the right rules. But I think that's going to be it for my predictions today. I really appreciate you all tuning in today and kind of trying to think of, or caring about what I think about the future for the crypto market and my kind of price predictions for everything. Um, Obviously, hopefully, you all learned and maybe even formed your own opinion about where you think these coins will end up price wise in the next month. Once again, I am not a financial advisor and I cannot see the future. So please, please, please invest responsibly before making any investment decisions. Feel free to contact us on our social media. It is at NFT_nation_podcast. We would love to hear from you all. Our DMs and messages are always open. So feel free to send us a chat whenever you would like. Obviously, leave 5 stars on this episode or this podcast today. It really helps us grow, helps Spotify learn that people actually care enough to listen to our content. So, yeah, guys, that's going to be it for me today, and have a good one.